Welcome back to the Years of Making podcast with your hosts,
Lizzie.
and Noah. Welcome to episode 14 of the Years of Making podcast. We are not having an icebreaker today because I feel like we're going to go in depth with a lot of these um, points. So today's podcast is specifically about our first year of marriage. Now, we've been getting a lot of good feedback from some of our friends saying that they want to hear more things about our marriage specifically and our belief system. So, in the next upcoming episodes, we'll definitely start to um, add in those types of discussions and topics and stuff like that. So, like I said, no icebreaker for the day, but today we're talking about um, how our first year was as a married couple, things that we would do again, we wouldn't do again, just getting used to each other, and things like that. So, shout out to our handy dandy, you know what it is, Chat GPT, for helping us come up with some ideas on what exactly to talk about today. Um, we already knew the idea of what we were going to talk about, but
It helps
this
formulate
gave us
points.
yeah,
Yeah.
this gave us points that we needed to have. So Lizzie, we will, I guess we'll go at things one at a time, obviously, and like we'll congregate between each other. No person needs to like carry the whole conversation. Like if we have an idea or if we have a memory or anything, we'll just bring it up. So you can go ahead and get us started.
Yeah, so the first topic that we would like to cover is adjusting to new roles in marriage. Specifically, as you know, we previously lived with our parents, and just adjusting from that to a marriage role. Do you have anything specific that you would like to say about that? And, if that was hard for you or what you've learned when it came to that over this past year?
Yeah, but what happened with us was we waited till marriage to move in together. So we kind of came into it blindly. We knew a lot about each other, but you don't really know a person until you start to live with them.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was instead of everything being about me, it was us now,
Mm-hmm.
which was a big transition for me and a good transition, obviously. I went from not making my bed, throwing clothes on the floor to, somebody that I respect enough that does not want those things. So it was a level of respect for Lizzie as well as kind of like a growing up thing for me to be more responsible. And you become more responsible when you are held accountable. And I definitely became more responsible because of Lizzie. But the new role I'm in, like it's been a not too difficult to adjust to. It's just you're used to living with your parents, and then you have somebody you're trying to support, so you want to be the best version of yourself for that person,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to do things for them out of love, not just do it out of like routine. You want to do show love
Yeah.
through the things that you do as a spouse.
I think that's good. And I think you might have said this, or I think we attended something that said this. I think it was a marriage conference that, or the marriage retreat that we went to. They said, instead of like, oh goodness, I have to cook dinner, or I have to wash clothes, or have to do this or that. It's like, okay, I'm doing this because I love you,
Yeah.
or you're doing that because you love me.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to do those type of things that aren't the most fun and that you may not want to do if you have that perspective on it, or I'm cooking dinner for us because I love Noah or because of this. So I think that's a good perspective to have in those situations.
Right. And adjusting to the new role of you have to provide for your family at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have meals handed down to you.
Mm-mm.
You we don't have a child, but we have a cat that we have to like a living being that we have to take care of. So like obviously when you get married, you're not going to have a baby right away. Obviously we'd have to wait a minimum of 9 months for that. But adjusting to a new role as living on your own, living with somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
being in control of a living being as a cat, it doesn't add a lot of responsibility, but it does make you more mature in that manner. And like you were saying about like cooking and stuff, like you have to provide your own meals, you have to pay your bills. Like it goes from like everything like being handed down to you unto like becoming one together and having everything is now your responsibility instead of your parents. So it's a big change, but I think we thrived and for the most part.
Yeah. What do you think? The next point is our communication styles and overcoming misunderstandings in marriage. Do you have anything that you want to say about that?
Um, Communication styles and overcoming misunderstandings. So me and Lizzie have, when we got married, we preached to each other that we just weren't going to argue.
That's what, yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of an oath that we made to each other.
It's easier said than done, obviously, but
yeah,
if you can prevent arguments if if you handle it the right way. And I think we've learned, together that we can control the conversation before it turns into an argument. And that's something really crucial and really important to have as a married couple. Arguing is never good. It's toxic. So the way we go through things is slowly communicating to each other, letting each other know how we feel and how we feel like we were wronged, and communicating that and apologizing within a 3 to 5 minute span. And why would I want the love of my life to be upset or angry at me for something that I'm just being selfish about, or vice versa? Like you were talking to me earlier about, like, you're not always right, I'm not always right.
Yeah, I think what happens is people go into for example, an argument, or go into I don't know, just like a situation, and they automatically have the mindset of, I'm right.
Yeah.
And when you are settled on that decision, and when you have that mindset and you're not willing to change from that mindset, then that's when, I mean, you just become an argumentative person.
Yeah.
And you're not an argumentative person whatsoever. So you're not, I mean, he you're not easy to argue with anyways, which is awesome. So, and I also think it's kind of empathizing and putting yourself in the other person's shoes. If Noah approaches me, or if I approach him about a situation that, let's say I didn't like the way he responded to that or something, and he's like, well, you shouldn't have done that in the first place, whatever, I need to put myself in his shoes and see if I would have liked to be responded in that manner. You know what I mean? It's all about like putting yourself in the other person's shoes. So
yeah. And going along with that, communication is not only what you say, but it's the tone you say it in.
Yep.
I have screwed up a lot of times where I'm sarcastic to Lizzie, and Lizzie does not like sarcasm. And, I have to break my habit of that, not just for myself, but to improve my marriage. It's like you're supposed to, let go of, your sinful things. And it's hard to let go of being sarcastic, because that's personally who I am as a person. And those types of things are hard to let go of. But when you have somebody that genuinely cares about what you're saying to them and how you're speaking to them, then you'll realize, very soon, that you need to change your ways, and you need to change them quick. And that's something that I learned as a husband. I can't talk in this tone all the time and expect my wife to treat me with, treat me extremely kindly and, respectfully, because I'm disrespecting her and I'm overthrowing her boundaries. So I think it's important, the communication, obviously, but it's also about like the tone. And what is a good question to ask is like, what are your intentions before you get into a conversation or an argument? Mm-hmm. What are my intentions? Am I trying to prove that I'm right? Mm-hmm. Or am I trying to make amends with my, spouse?
Yeah. And I mean, when you're like, we don't like the word argument. We use the word discussion. I mean, when you're in a, let's say, argument or discussion setting, um, what is you being right about the situation going to do for your marriage?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably going to make things worse. So I think, it's okay, let's make things right toward each other. And guess what? For us, I've learned it's okay to be the first one to say sorry. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's, you don't have to wait for the other person to say sorry, even though they may have been in the quote unquote wrong.
Right.
It's okay to say sorry first, in order to make amends. Like,
That's
yeah,
humility, if you think about
yeah,
it. Like
yeah,
you're putting others before yourself is what it's a very biblical thing.
yeah.
Putting others before yourself, love your neighbor as yourself.
Do you have anything else to say about that, or do you want to jump
No, we
into?
can go to the next
Yeah.
one.
So, financial adjusting and adjusting when it comes to that. So we do share a bank account now. We did have our own. We did have separate bank accounts, and then once we got married, we went to the bank, and then Noah transferred over to my bank, Secu, and then we joined accounts when it comes to that. Um, and I think that that's biblical, and I think that that's a part of becoming one.
Yeah.
That's just, I do think being financially smart is biblical, and then joining bank accounts is biblical as well when it comes to a healthy, godly marriage. So,
Yeah, and unpopular opinion with that, me and Lizzie discuss our financial individual purchases before we like buy them. Not all of our purchases, not like a Chick-fil-A meal, but like
yeah,
if we want to treat ourselves to something, that's a conversation, whether that be a 30-second conversation or like a 30-minute conversation about like can we afford this right now? Is this something we need right now, or we can wait till a holiday to get? I think it's important to discuss your finances with your wife. I may want a $200 pair of shoes, but we also could be $800 down that month. So it's important to it's an unpopular opinion, and I know a lot of couples probably don't do this, but you know, conversating and discussing and communicating about what you're buying, how much it is, like I said, whether
mm-hmm.
you need it right now or not. Those are things that me and Lizzie do that may not be very common, but I think it's helped out a lot. And
Yeah, yeah,
even for me playing golf a lot, Lizzie's been very supportive of that. And she knows that if she were wanting to spend something on her own, that I would be totally fine with that as well. It's all about compromise. It's not, oh, I get to spend more because I make more, you get to spend less because you make less. That's not how
or
this
vice
works
versa.
here.
Yeah,
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 exactly. That we don't treat each other like that. Like
yeah.
that's not biblical. That's not a way you should treat a
And
human
I mean,
being.
the thing is, I don't think it's easy. It's not really asking each other like, oh, like, can I buy this? Can I buy that?
Right.
It's, like if I'm buying a coffee, I'm not texting Noah asking if I can buy coffee. It's like, okay, if I decide that, like you said, if I want these shoes or want this or that, um, you know, just asking if that's like a financially smart decision in that moment rather than just acting out of impulse, because I think, I've said something before, or I've wanted something before, you wanted something before. It's like, um, I don't know, it's just like we make each other think, and it's never really, we don't really say no. It's just, it's out of like respect, honestly,
Yep.
because we are sharing a bank account and we are both making money, and both of our monies are, like, I'm spending your money, you're spending my money. Do you
Yep.
see what I'm saying? So it's kind of out of respect. It's not really
Yep.
like, oh, like I can't do this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's really kind of respectful.
Yeah, but we're also big in the financial category. We're big on budgeting. I have a budget that I keep in my phone. We try to keep up with it, and every single month, at the end of the month, go through our we go through our money.
Yeah,
What's the word?
like your bank accounts.
We go through our transactions
Oh
for the
yeah,
month,
transactions.
and see what was unnecessary spending, and then what was necessary, and then go from there. We see how much we made that month or how much we lost that month, and I think that's very healthy as well. Just having a budget, having something to back yourself up on, and with asking each other if we could buy something. If you're staying in budget, then you're gonna that's gonna end up being a lot better than if you don't have a budget at all, and then you just buy
Mindlessly
with a credit
spending.
card.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna have this $1,200 credit card payment that doesn't even include any bills at the end of the month, and you're like, yeah, we can't do this again. So that's why it's so important to keep up with your finances first of all, and second of all, have a budget so that you don't go heavily over.
And I think, Noah is the kind of financial advisor of our relationship. And I know it could be, I mean, you could do it together or it could be one or the other. So I think it's just really smart to have that designated person in your relationship, like, you know, just to budget things out and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
so jumping into expectations of marriage versus reality, is there anything that kind of came to you like with surprise or something you weren't expecting? Whether good, whether negative or positive. So
Um, Expectations versus reality of marriage. I don't really know what I expected. Really, like I kind of came in with open ears, open eyes, open arms, into this relationship of marriage. I didn't really have expectations. I kind of let everything move itself forward. Um, I don't. Do you have anything? I
I
just
don't really think so. I honestly, things were moving at like a mile a minute.
yeah
So I don't really, because it came to like, of course, like we did marriage counseling, but I think that was super helpful to kind of like breaking, the expectations when it
yeah
came, versus reality. And then we were so focused on like the wedding stuff. I didn't
yeah
really get to think like really
no
hard about like, oh, like I'm expecting this from him or this or that. Um, so I don't really think so.
no. I mean, I don't think it's. I mean, I know marriage to some people is difficult. People people would preach to us how like difficult marriage was, but for us, it's just like I'm living with my best friend, and like
Mhm.
every day's like the best day ever because I get to spend the day with her.
And I mean, of course, like we are in it. I think for us, we keep our marriage out of like, for example, like we are both working, like I'm working two part-time jobs, you're working a full-time job. We're doing school and marriage. I just think for us, leaving, trying to keep our stressful work life or school life, try to keep it as separate as possible from your marriage life is going to keep your marriage healthy. And that doesn't mean that we don't have our bad days. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I just think, and of course, like once you have kids, it'll become, more difficult when it comes to that and stuff. But honestly, I just think looking at each other, as your best, like you're my best
yeah,
friend and I'm your best friend. Um, I don't know. It
yeah.
makes it a lot more enjoyable.
People, a lot of people told us it would be very difficult, but like unpopular opinion, I guess, like being married has helped me in many ways. Helped me in my job, helped me in my school. Like having somebody to hold you accountable and somebody that constantly shows that they love you and care about you. That is, one thing. It's not really a piece of advice. It's just something that people are going to warn you about that marriage is hard. Now, this may be a different story down the line when we have children, but like marriage as a whole for us too, since we, do not want to argue and we budget together and all the things we've discussed so far, those things have helped us to actually
Yeah.
enjoy marriage and not view it as like something that's like hard or difficult. I view it as something that in having somebody that encourages me to do my best and work my hardest and be myself and be my best in everything. I mean,
Well, I think for us too, we dated for so long. I think we went through our phase where we used to, like not necessarily argue, but we would have our discussions like in dating. But we kind of were able, yes, living together is a whole different story. But we dated for so long where we got to work out those kinks.
Yeah, we
Do you
did
see what I'm
before we
saying?
got married.
Yeah.
And
And
that's very uncommon.
that's very uncommon. So that's also another reason
I
why.
knew exactly who you were when we got married, and you know, I didn't know a few things about you, once we moved in together, but like it's not like those things were life changing. I
Right.
pretty much knew everything about you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Jumping into career goals and education as a couple. So many of you guys know we are both working jobs and we both are still in college. We do graduate in December, which is super exciting. But
I mean, we just kind of talked about this in that marriage
Yeah.
or that expectations versus
yeah,
reality.
we have. So we did get married during our fall break of college, which is crazy now that we look back at it. I'm like, I was literally planning a wedding during, like, it was just crazy. Like,
Yeah,
I can look back. I can't believe we did that. Like,
but that was our best
oh,
option.
it was for sure the best option. And I wouldn't have it either other way now.
No.
But like, I mean, you kind of said, I don't know, like both being in college, like it kind of stinks doing schoolwork sometimes at 8 p.m. at night. But it's like, okay, I'm on one couch, Noah's on the other couch, and we're both doing schoolwork instead of like, oh, like, he's over there chilling and I'm over here writing a 15-page paper. Like, you know what I mean? We're both in together, and I don't know, it just is very encouraging and supporting when it comes like in that aspect. So.
Yeah, when I went through that whole job ordeal where I couldn't find a job for 6 months, and then the one I did find, there was somebody smoking weed on the first day. Like Lizzie was my right hand man that whole time. She was like so supportive. Like I would be going into a Zoom interview with like a Vineyard Vine shirt and sweatpants on, and Lizzie would just be like, you've got this. Like you're going to get this job. I never did, but it was good to have that encouragement from, somebody that genuinely loves me and genuinely cares about me. And you supported me at my very lowest, and that, caused me to have like I didn't have like depression or anxiety because I could rely on God, but I had you right beside me to rely on and push me through. And sometimes I didn't feel like sitting on the couch and putting in 15 LinkedIn or Handshake applications that didn't go past this room.
Yeah.
But like having somebody to support you and care about you through that's what pushed me through and pushed me to get to where I am now. Did I foresee where I would be right now? No, and that was all God's plan. But having a special someone, a spouse to push you through and motivate you, that's what this whole section like that we're talking about is about. Like push, like I try my best to like help Lizzie with quizzes if I can, or like help her to push through her like 15-page paper that has nothing to do with anything about the class. I try to help her to push through, and you can attest to that. I do try to, and I do help you to get through things.
Yeah.
And it helps when I'm sitting right there, you're sitting right here, and we're both working towards getting this
suffering
degree.
Together.
We're suffering together to get this degree. That's almost here. Praise the Lord.
Yeah. Yes, I would say encouraging. Like encouragement is definitely the root. I mean, just encouraging each other.
Yeah, if you told me during my job process that like, Noah, you literally suck, you're not getting this job, I would have felt so down and I would have literally gave up. But having somebody to support you and somebody that loves you after I applied to 115 jobs and all I got was a weed smoker. I'm sorry. I had to carry that on. It's just great to have somebody beside you, somebody to support you in not only your school goals and your career goals. And we're seeing everything we dreamed up come into fruition. And it's just a matter of time until we graduate now.
So jumping into building traditions, is there anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, that's a big part of us is building traditions. We have this podcast where we film every 2 weeks and come up with an idea and come up with a video for you guys. We have Moe's on Sunday night. That's
Mhm.
a Sunday night tradition for us is to go.
Even Google Maps knows.
Yeah, Google Maps after church literally says 10 minutes to Moe's Southwest Grill, like every Sunday night.
We
Like,
know the manager.
yeah, we build those traditions. We have, Andy's ice cream, sweet treat. You know how it is.
Anytime I go to Burlington.
Tokyo Express on the way home. Like if we don't feel like cooking, Tokyo Express, $22 for 2 hibachi chickens. So
with lunch for tomorrow. Just
exactly. So we build traditions. We have fun. It's not about like going to doing the exact same things. We like to try new stuff. I mean,
we love trying new restaurants are our thing.
Yeah, trying our new restaurants,
we love
trying new hobbies, and pickleball, golf, bowling, anything like that. We've picked up board games, and that's something we both enjoy doing together. And traditions, like they're very underrated in marriages. Like you should have things that you sit down and look forward to. Like me and you specifically, we sit down if we have an hour or so every night and just watch whatever series we're watching at that time.
Mhm.
And it may not seem like much to somebody from the outside looking in, but like I'm spending that quality time with you, and it feels good to have that quality time and know that you can build traditions with your wife. And
Mhm.
it's only been 1 year and we've already built so many traditions. Like it's only a matter of time. We're going to continuously come up with new things. And, tradition for us would be cruises and like going on vacation, not being at work like for 6 to 8 months straight, having some time off and taking a weekend break. We agree on pretty much everything. So, traditions are, if we'll come together and we'll be like, yeah, this is something that I love to do and you love to do, so let's just make a tradition out of it.
And I think what's important is like kind of staying on this point, but kind of going off a little bit. We were talking about this earlier. Like, you grew up a little bit differently than I did. We had, not very different. I'm just saying, like, every family is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And just coming together and, me not coming into our marriage and you not coming into our marriage and is like, okay, well, the way that my family did it is right and yours is completely wrong. And, you saying that to me, right. It's like, okay, well, how did my family do it and how did your family do
Building
it?
Tradition.
And, seeing the maybe one way was better than the other or creating our own thing. Not like, not just coming into the situation. It's like, yep, my way's right, so your way's wrong. Sorry. You know what I mean? It's like coming in together and figuring out, okay, what is the way that we want to do it, not the way that I want to do it. You know what I mean? So, kind of going. I mean, we kind of touched this, dating each other when married. I think, of course, like we cook. Yeah, we'll go back.
Oh, go back.
Yeah, because it kind of jumps into it.
Gotcha.
Dating each other when married, like you kind of touched this a little bit. I feel like we do cook dinners at home, like a good amount.
Yep.
Every week, but just one night out of the week, we usually go to not like a nice restaurant, but I don't know, just something
that's
fun.
Not fast food.
Yeah, something that's not fast food. So maybe sit down, not like crazy fancy, but I don't know, just like a fun date.
Put your phone down,
Yeah.
Talk to each other. Date. I mean, we have all the time in the world to look at our phones. Why would you be doing that, during the, dinner time that you have with your spouse? So I think it's really important to have fun. I mean, like I said, put your phone down. What was the whole reason to get married if you're just gonna scroll through Instagram while you're munching on some food? So, yeah, I mean, I think we touched that on building traditions. It's just like doing fun stuff together. Like me and Lizzie will go on hikes every once in a while.
Try new coffee shops.
Lizzie will pick up golf balls while I shoot a 100 over par. Like these are like things that, like, necessarily Lizzie doesn't play golf, and I don't. I didn't used to love coffee, but like we do things together because I want to do the things that you want to do, like go to cat coffee shops, and you want to support me in the things I do, like spending obnoxious amounts of money on golf. Those types of things are like fun. If it's fun for me, then it should be fun for you.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
There are certain things that, like disc golf, for example. Lizzie can't stand disc golf. Like I love disc golf.
I've really tried, y'all.
Lizzie
like,
can't stand disc golf.
I admit it. I've tried.
You've tried.
I've tried. I really have, and I've tried to be supportive. And I am very supportive of you going to play disc golf. I'm just not supportive of me trekking along with you. So, anyways, so the last 2 points are, let's see, balancing marriage and personal life as well as planning for the future. So, is there anything that you would like? We kind of talked about balancing, the marriage and personal life and how it's really helped us to keep the stress. Well, we try to keep the stress of our, personal life out of our marriage. Do you want to say anything else about balancing marriage and personal life?
So, our pastor Chris, I think he does this analogy where it's, Christ comes first, then your relationship with your spouse, then your relationship with your kids, and then it's your, I believe it's your occupation. No, it's your children and family, I think, and then it's like your
I'm not really sure what follows.
I think it's either it's occupation and serving Christ and whatnot. So
yeah,
if you have, I'm sorry I butchered that, Brother Chris. But if you have your ducks in a row, if you have that pyramid, going down and starting at the top the correct manner and going down, your relationship with God is going to be more important than your relationship with your wife, and that's easier said than done. Obviously, you want to spend all your time with your wife, but you were created by God, and God loves you, and for me, Christ saved me, so I want to give all the glory back to Him for all of that. So it's making sure you have your priorities in line and managing that correctly. Not putting work above your wife, not putting your wife above God. It's having everything in the right order, and that's the recipe to success as a Christian, also as a husband or a wife. Like Chris has said that in multiple messages before. So, I mean, I deal with personal things. I'm my own human being. Lizzie deals with her own personal things, and we're still one as a couple, but that doesn't mean we don't have our own personal struggles and personal things that we're dealing with. So, number one, we're a child of God. We're a Christian, and we are a believer. So our relationship with Christ is much more important than our relationship with each other, because everything on this earth is going to pass away, and when you get to heaven, God's not going to ask you about your relationship with your wife. He's going to talk to you about your relationship with Him. So I think the main thing in balancing marriage and personal life is having the correct order of things, and that's going to make everything run smoothly. Do you want to go any further on that before we hit the future plans?
This kind of jumping into you were saying, how am I supposed to love you like I should if I'm not loving God like I should? You see what I'm saying? So just kind of doing that. So yeah, that's all I had to say about that. But we can jump into our last point, which is planning for the future. Is there anything that you want to touch on this on, or looking into the future and stuff like that?
Let me see real quick. Yeah, okay, yeah. I was just looking at what ChatGPT said according to what we said, but yeah, we pretty much covered it. So you said just go ahead and go into the last point. So we have a lot of future plans, and briefly touch. So our future is like, we plan out our vacations, we plan out
We're
We,
planners.
we plan out our entire life. We have a calendar over there that has the entire month planned off.
And we know, like, these are very tentative. Like, I mean, let's say, I don't know. God's will is definitely much more important than our plans. And, like,
Yeah.
we know and understand that.
Yeah.
But I think it's always, I think it's really important to have a plan.
It's
and
healthy, yeah.
it's
Sure.
healthy to have a plan and to, look forward to something.
Yeah.
And just understand that these are not,
Set in
these
stone.
are not set in stone. It's all going to depend on God's will for the situation, the given situation. So
Yeah, as a couple, in our first year of marriage, we planned pretty much everything. Like, and we've built up plans for the future, like, with, potentially having children one day and potential cruises and, Lizzie's future job endeavors and, how many cats we can fit in a house. Like, those are things that we plan for, and it's good to plan for things. It's healthy to plan for things in the future. But that doesn't always mean that you should focus on things on the future. Obviously,
Yep.
living in the present is a very important thing, and living day by day, and looking towards things in the future could be very stressful. And
That's
worry.
what I'm still working on.
Yeah, it causes a lot of worry if you're stressing out about things that are coming that aren't happening right now. So what I preach to Lizzie a lot is just to focus on what's going on right now, and then once the future things come, they'll come. But for right now, we need to have our minds and thoughts on this, and this, instead of what's to come, whether that be good things to come or stressful things to come, bad things to come, and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're pretty good at this, but I mean, I'm still working on this because I found if I'm constantly looking ahead, that I'm not even enjoying what I'm in. You see what I'm saying? If I'm like, oh, I just want to graduate, then I'm not really enjoying the season I'm in. Or, oh, I just want to get a career job, then I'm not really enjoying the season I'm in. You know what I mean? And I'm probably going to look back one day and wish that I was in this season. It's just like a constant.
Yeah.
It's just a constant.
It's like when you're a child and you want to grow up so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And now looking back, I was like, I should have lived out my childhood to the fullest instead of wishing I was an adult, because being an adult it's not really that fun compared to being a kid and having everything.
It's its own kind of fun.
Yeah,
it's its own kind of fun for sure.
It's different stages of life.
Yeah.
But our first year of marriage, I mean, I really enjoyed the time I got to spend with Lizzie, getting to know her better, spending more and more time with her. It's really a blessing, just having fun with her, cooking together in the kitchen, going on hikes, playing golf and pickleball, and just getting to know her better. I already knew her like the back of my hand, but like going on a marriage conference, going on vacations together, this is where we really start to build memories and things we'll look back on and have that nostalgia about for the rest of our lives. And I think one of the coolest things about us is building those traditions, and it's something I look forward to every single week, is stuff we get to do together as a couple. And I don't know. It's a lot of fun. If you want to have something you can look forward to together, and I don't think it's been perfect this first year, obviously.
No, definitely not.
But
we're still definitely.
It hasn't
learning.
been easy. It hasn't been hard. It's just been great.
It's just been kind of a growing process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like constantly learning and constantly growing.
Yep. So. Getting out of your comfort zone for some things, and doing things you're extremely comfortable with. Like, marriage is it's a roller coaster ride. It's up and down. And the Lord has blessed us so much throughout this process, and I don't think we could have done anything on this list without His help and Him. So all the glory goes to God, obviously, for everything. But He put us together, and we're together for a reason, and we're together to fulfill that reason. So, Lizzie, I've definitely enjoyed this first year of marriage, and I look forward to being married to you until
death do us part.
Death do us part. Well, anyways, any other word from you, Pookie Bear Sugar Love?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, we went through our first year of marriage, and I must have done a good job because I'm still here. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Um, we are having a special guest next episode, so comment down below who you think that may
Dun, dun,
be.
dun.
Maybe you probably may not even know who this person is if you don't know us. But we hope you guys have a great day. And yeah, peace. Bye.
We love you guys.